bassist has something to say? This was the surprised sentiment of a producer who had been asked to work on the solo album of Melissa Auf Der Maur, who had spent her entire career playing bass for Hole and Smashing Pumpkins. Sure, those were two dream gigs for a 90s rocker, but Auf Der Maur did indeed have something to say. Her autobiography, Even the Good Girls Will Cry, reveals the winding and at times chaotic road she took in finding her voice. Hey, it's Matt. Today on Loud Lit, we're looking at Even the Good Girls Will Cry by Melissa Auf Der Maur. As I said in the intro, she spent several years as the bassist for Hole and later Smashing Pumpkins. Those are big-name bands, but trust me, don't sleep on her solo work. Auf Der Maur's two albums, 2004's self-titled record and 2010's Out of Our Minds, are both worth checking out. Her book gives them only a brief mention, as the story ends in 2001, but definitely give those albums a listen. I want to give a quick programming note before we get into the bulk of the review. Loud Lit has been a really fun project, but I'm going to be scaling it back a bit and releasing it a little more sporadically. I know you're probably saying to yourself, wait, you already release it once every 2 weeks and the episodes are like 5 minutes long. Why do you need more time? And the reason is I have another podcast called The Noise Report. It's focused on heavy metal. Those episodes are more normal podcast length, more like 45 to an hour plus. And those take a lot more time with booking guests, editing, releasing videos on YouTube, stuff like that. With Loud Lit, even though the episodes themselves are short, part of the prep does involve reading a book, which can take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, depending on how long the book is and how much time I have during the week to read. And as much as I love reading about my favorite musicians, I love reading other kind of books too. I don't want to feel obligated to constantly read nothing but one particular type of subject matter. I want to have that freedom to really read whatever I want. And then when I come back to books about music, it's a nice little bonus that I can make a Loud Lit episode out of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to have a specific schedule for releasing Loud Lit episodes, especially as the Noise Report is getting ready to move into a weekly schedule. I want to have more flexibility with Loud Lit, so those episodes are just going to come out whenever I finish a book and have something to say about it. I know that's not the conventional way of making a successful podcast, but that's okay. This project is just for fun. It encourages me to read and encourage other people to read as well, and of course to support independent booksellers. So if you do want to continue supporting Loud Lit, even if it is going to be on a more sporadic schedule, please click the link in the show notes and do your online book shopping at the Loud Lit Bookshop page. Doesn't have to be the books I recommend. Any book you buy at bookshop.org, just start at this link and you're going to support this show. All right, thanks for listening and thank you for all your support. Now, on to Melissa Auf Der Maur's Even the Good Girls Will Cry. Born and raised in Montreal, Auf Der Maur describes herself as, quote, the product of a one-night stand between two radically beautiful and adventurous souls. Her mother was a fiercely independent feminist activist and journalist. Her father was a well-known columnist, a beloved figure in Montreal. Though their marriage didn't last, their influence on their daughter was clear. Melissa was an artistic, free spirit whose musical taste leaned toward underground rock. A pivotal moment in young Melissa's musical journey came when she saw Smashing Pumpkins perform in a small club and was enamored by their sound and the charisma of frontman Billy Corgan. The personal connection she made with Corgan inspired her to learn bass in the hopes of one day being part of this fascinating scene that was bubbling up in the early 90s. A few years later, she got her chance. After playing in a local band for a bit, she got her big break when, at the urging of Corgan, Auf Der Maur joined Hole. On the surface, that might seem like a dream come true. I mean, what rock lover wouldn't want to play in a hugely popular band that was scoring radio hits and touring the world? But Auf Der Maur was at first reluctant, knowing the unique situation she'd be stepping into. As bassist, she'd be replacing Kristen Pfaff, who had recently died of a heroin overdose just months after Hole singer Courtney Love had lost her husband Kurt Cobain, a death that was global news and for which many fans blamed Love herself. It's this dichotomy that drives the bulk of Even the Good Girls Will Cry. Auf Der Maur was living a rock and roll dream, making her whole debut at the popular Reading Festival in front of 65,000 fans, just weeks after joining the band. At the same time, she was thrown into the deep end of a band whose stardom was on the rise, yet was grieving two tragic losses of loved ones. Auf Der Maur's time in Hole was spent making deep friendships, including with Courtney, while also navigating often chaotic band dynamics, driven mainly by Courtney. Reading the accounts of how this young person dealt with such a wild push and pull lifestyle makes Even the Good Girls Will Cry such a compelling read. It's an honest and revealing book that focuses not just on rock stardom, but also on personal struggle. Auf Der Maur includes the heartbreaking story of her father's illness and death, as well as the rise and fall of her romantic relationship with Dave Grohl. She even includes the text of letters Courtney Love sent her in the wake of Auf Der Maur's decision to leave Hole and join Smashing Pumpkins. Reading them did feel a bit too revealing, almost invasive, but they do give a deeper insight into the Courtney-driven chaos that Auf Der Maur dealt with while a member of Hole. Side note, Love and Auf Der Maur are still very good friends, so I'm sure Courtney gave permission to publish the letters. The lead singer is usually the person most people consider the central figure in a rock band. And in bands like Hole and Smashing Pumpkins, it's easy to focus most of the attention on larger-than-life personalities like Courtney Love and Billy Corgan. But as Melissa Auf Der Maur proves with Even the Good Girls Will Cry, yes, this bassist has something to say. Thanks for listening to Loud Lit. If you liked this episode and want to hear more, please subscribe and leave a 5-star rating and review. And if you want your own copy of Even the Good Girls Will Cry or any other book, click the bookshop link in the show notes. When you do, you're supporting Loud Lit as well as independent booksellers. Until next time, keep reading, keep rocking.